Well, something's going on. Now,
Yeah, they can't all make these stories up.
Were these humans that had these pure souls, or
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Because none of these people know this consciously. It's never on a conscious level, because when you come into the earth body, you forget. You forget your plan,
Right.
you forget your contracts, you forget all of it.
You're a human. That's it.
Yeah, you're a human. You're here to have a human experience. And they don't really know why they don't want to be here, why they don't like it here, why they don't fit in. But I began getting the story again and again and again. I don't want to be here. I don't like it here. Why are people so mean to each other? Why is there so much violence? And it's the same thing over and over, and I was hearing it again and again. I want to go home. I don't know where home is. I just know it's not here. Now, you hear that from hundreds of people. You begin to put it together. And I put together the theory of the three waves based on the ages of these people that were telling me the same stories. And when I took them back to past lives, they didn't go back to the normal past life. And I'm still getting them. I just had a client yesterday. The same thing is continuing to happen.
Now, when you talk about the waves and their ages, so a certain, like a wave one would be what?
Well, you remember, right at the end of World War II is when there was suddenly this big UFO flap.
Right.
That's because they came in to find out what was going on. Then we had the baby boomer generation right at the end of the war.
Sure. I'm one of them.
Yeah, this is the first wave. And so that would make them now even in their early 60s.
Sure.
And I've been working with this since the 1980s, so I've seen them gradually age. So the first wave, I think, goes like that, maybe late 40s, 50s, and 60s, that age group.
Okay. And that first wave, anything special about them?
Well, they had the hardest time of all. The ones that came after had it easier. But they're the ones that had the hardest time wanting to be here. They didn't like it. They don't like the violence. One thing about these waves is that so they can't handle strong emotions. Sometimes they don't get married because they just can't be around other people, and they don't want to have children because children tie you to the earth. And when these souls come in, they come in with like a coating or a covering over their soul so they will not accumulate karma. So they just want to do their job and get out of here. But many of these, the first wave especially, don't want to be here. They keep saying they want to go home, and many of the first wave have tried to commit suicide to get out.
Gosh, was it that frustrating for them, Dolores?
Oh, yeah. They have good families. They got good jobs. They just don't like it here. They don't know, what am I doing here? I don't belong. I don't understand my family. I don't understand this world. And, you hear it again and again. They think they're the only ones out there that feel this way. But since I've been talking about this and the book has come out, I hear this all over the world. And I get emails where people saying, finally, somebody understands. I thought I was the only one in the world that felt that way. Now I'm finding out there's hundreds and hundreds of people feel the same way.
So that's the first wave.
Yeah.
What's the second wave?
They heard the call, Earth is in trouble. Who wants to go and help the Earth? And one of them said, I stupidly raised my hand. As I got here, what was I thinking?
I'd probably do that too. Interesting mission.
Because they really wanted to help the Earth. And this is what helps them. When they find out they are here for a purpose, even though they don't want to be here, it makes a huge difference in their life.
And are they unconsciously helping the Earth?
They are, and that's what makes the difference when they find out they do have a mission, they have a job, then they can understand it and relax.
Could they be the ones that open the door for another person, little things like that?
So what it is, especially the second wave, the second wave would be, 20s, 30s, 40s, that age group.
Okay.
Some of these overlap, so it's hard to be distinctive about the ages. Those are people, the second wave, I call them antennas, generators, receivers, because all they are is a channel of energy. And the energy comes in, they have this wonderful energy that everybody can feel. They don't even know they're sending it out. These are the kind of people who can walk through a crowded mall of people or a store or something, and their energy will affect everybody they come into contact, and it's done in a very positive way. They don't know they're doing it, but that's their purpose. They will ask me, well, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And they're told you don't have to do anything. You just have to be. You're generating this energy that is helping the world. And the thing is, they're supposed to be with people and helping people, but they don't like people. They don't like to be around them. So many of these second wave especially work out of their homes. They don't usually get married. They just don't want to be around people.
Interesting.
Because it bothers them.
And these traits are all pretty similar.
Oh, yeah, and that's what the people, when I'm giving lectures, they start crying. They come up to me afterwards and they said, you don't know what it means to find out I'm not different. This makes so much sense. But, well, see, many of them come direct from God who have never been in any kind of a body before. They just never wanted to.
These are brand new souls.
Brand new. Can you imagine what that would be like to come into this mess we have on Earth? With no preparation, they don't know what's going on. It's very difficult to exist here. The other place they come from, were ETs on spacecraft, on other planets, other dimensions. Some of them had even evolved as far as being a light being. Now, they were perfectly happy with their own life. But then they said, well, who wants to volunteer? And they said, okay, I'll do it. Then when I get done, I'm going to go back to my spaceship or my other planet. They just said they'll come in long enough to help the Earth during this time of need that we're in right now. But something interesting about this is why it puts a new slant on the UFOs, is that the energy, you can imagine, is so different from the ET energy of that being from the Earth body. So in order for them to be born on Earth, the soul has to be prepared, and especially the mother's energy has to be prepared so they can carry that energy of that new soul. Many times the mother will have as many as 3 miscarriages because the energy just doesn't match until they can make adjustments. And the ETs are what do this. They make adjustments to the mother and to the incoming soul so it can survive here. And they said, now some of this sounds strange, but they said in these cases, all of the incoming soul doesn't come in at one time. It's too much energy. So it comes in little by little, and the child may be as old as 8 years old before the entire soul is into the body.
Interesting.
Where it can handle it. And I have a lot of people who tell me, I wasn't here really until I was 8 years old, and they don't understand what that means. But can you see the difference?
So they really weren't complete at that point.
Yeah, they weren't all there. And you can see how the mother's energy would be so different. And many of them have told me that. My mother had many miscarriages before I finally came in.
And these are totally 100% human beings. They're not hybrids, right? They're not ET mixes. They're
just living in a human body.
Okay.
But many of us have also lived in other lives and other planets. I don't find that unusual at all. They're just another vehicle. I call the costume a body of suit of clothes you wear to live a life.
How do we know if we're volunteers? Do you have to do it through regression?
Well, that's about the only way to find out, except some people tell me, I remember volunteering. One place I gave the lecture, and they said, how can you tell who in the audience is ETs? And everybody started laughing, and I said, how can I tell you? They don't even know themselves.
That's right.
Because, see, you forget when you come in.
And they don't possess any special mystical powers. They can't levitate. They can't do things like that.
No. They're just living a life that they're wondering what in the world they're doing here.
But they're a little more spiritual than most.
I think they are, because some of them have found out they have psychic abilities. If they develop that, because sometimes in children you tend to squish that, But many of them are psychic. They have spiritual qualities. A lot of them want to be healers. That's an interesting trait about them. They all want to help each other. They want to help the world.
They want to help the world. Well, that's why they're here.
And they're very good people. But now can you understand what the abductions are all about? These are their own people that they're taking care of.
These are the volunteers that they're abducting.
They check on them. They have to check on them regularly to make sure that the body is accepting the energy, that they're not having any problems.
That makes sense. And the third wave, I assume, a much younger age.
That's the new kids.
That's the new ones. Okay.
And those are the ones that are the hope of the world. And they're coming in with the DNA already in place because all of our DNA is being changed now anyway.
How many of them are we talking about worldwide, Dolores? Hundreds, millions, what?
Oh, they said hundreds of thousands. They said now we have finally have the critical mass. We have tipped the scale. Now we can save the Earth.
So what happens if you get one of these, I'll call them enlightened volunteers? What happens if you get one of them in political office? They become senators or presidents. Do they?
The best thing that could possibly happen.
I would guess they would change things dramatically, wouldn't they?
You would. But can you see now why the abductions are occurring? And people, the other investigators don't get their subjects deep enough to find out these things. They keep them in the light level of trance where they're not getting the whole story. I work in the deepest possible level of trance where the conscious mind cannot interfere. So the other ones are getting the emotion, the distorted memories that are not the real memories of the event because they're coming through the conscious mind filter. But if I get them into the deepest level, these stories come out. And the ETs are just taking care of their own people. That's why they have the implants are there to monitor them so they'll know where they are and they can be there to help them at any time.
Dolores, it makes sense that these alien implants are put in their own kind, basically, to track them.
The one is to find them so you don't know where they are, but other times they have to monitor the energy of the body to make sure how it is, how they are dealing with the energy. But also, if they have any physical problems, some of the implants are like time-released pills, time-released aspirins. You know, like these have the contact pills. It is releasing medication into the body over long periods of time to heal the body. And that's why they're in different parts of the body.
Are they?
There are. I know one, Dr. Lear takes these out.
Yes.
But I know one person that had it taken out, and they said for the first time in their life they got sick. So I'm just telling them if they want them there, they're going to put them back. So they're for a good purpose.
Are they concerned about the direction of this planet?
Oh, definitely. That's what this is all about. That's why they are monitoring all of us, because they're very concerned, they have been for many years, with the increase in cancer and the different diseases that we're having.
Yeah.
And they're developing cures for these different diseases. Because, you see, we were supposed to be a perfect people on a perfect, beautiful planet that would never get sick and never die. But there was something that happened way back in the development stage. There was a meteorite that hit the Earth at that time while the species was developing. And for the first time, it introduced bacteria that created disease. And after that, they knew their experiment was ruined. We were called the Grand Experiment. And they had to go back to the council. What do we do now? Do we just call it quits and say this, erase the whole program? Or do we start over again? Or do we let it keep developing, knowing it will never be as perfect as it was supposed to be? And it was decided, because so much work had already been put into it, to let it continue developing it. And so they are still trying to find cures so that we will be the perfect people they intended us to be.
Now, it's not to say, though, that every enlightened person on this planet is one of these volunteers, right? I mean, there could be some nice, pure earthlings, right?
Oh, sure. But it's all for a reason anyway. And people shouldn't worry about it, because you don't know your soul history anyway.
So generally, these volunteers, which are pure souls, they've not been on the planet before. Once that physical body that they're in dies, what happens to them? Do they come back again? Are they offered the opportunity to come back? What happens?